We're live. This is the Champaign-Urbana Mass Transit District Board meeting. It is Wednesday, October 29th, 2025 at 3:02 p.m. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Blyle.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Vasella.
Present.
Friedman.
Present.
Nudo.
Here.
Ula.
Here.
Barnes.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as distributed?
So moved.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is audience participation. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board on any other topic? Hearing none, we're going to move on to the next agenda item. Is there a motion to approve the Champaign-Urbana Mass Transit District Board meeting minutes from September 24th, 2025, open session?
Seconded.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll move on to communications. Is there any communication from the board? Hearing none. Next is the managing director's report. Carl?
Good afternoon. Thank you. This is a report on September's statistics, and we had a pretty good month in September. The total ridership was 1,397,251, which is the third highest September in the district's history. The highest September was in 2014, and that was 1.5 million. And the second highest, no, sorry, that was in 2014. I'm not sure what I just said. 2014. 2015 was the second highest, and that was 1.4 million. So we were just 42,000 rides short of being number two. So that's great. That's significant, post-pandemic recovery. And it's good to see that kind of activity. The year-to-date ridership through September was 5.2% higher than last year. And the operating revenue was 4.8% below September of 2024. The year-to-date operating revenue was 3.2% below FY 2025. That's in large part due to lowering interest rates on investment income. Excuse me. The operating expenses were 5.1% above September of 2024, and the year-to-date operating expenses were 2.2% above last fiscal year. The year-to-date operating revenues were $269,945 above budget, and the operating expenses were $1,440,911 below budget. So with that, I will take any questions through page 34.
Hearing none, we'll move on to action items. We'll be discussing Resolution 2025-7, determining the amount of money necessary to be raised by the tax levy. Is there any discussion?
Just a quick note, this is, most of you know, but we've got a couple of newer board members who I think this is your first round with the property tax levy. This is step one in a two-step process, and so the board will approve this, hopefully the board will approve this resolution, and then we will post notices in the newspaper that reflect this resolution, and then at our December board meeting, we will bring to the board for approval the property tax levy ordinance, which is the final document that will set the property tax levy, and then that's what gets forwarded to the county clerk. So this is step one. And staff's recommendation is this resolution. It includes a 10% levy. That doesn't mean anybody's property taxes will go up 10%. That just sets the size of the bucket, so to speak, that will contain the levy, and that bucket will hold the property tax, the levy collected based on CPI. But then it will have extra room in it to collect the new EAV that will come on the rolls as a result of the annexations that you have been approving. And so that larger percentage then, you know, last year the CPI percentage was 2.9%. So that's what the levy increased by 2.9%. But we set it a little higher than that so that we could collect those, the taxes based on the equalized assessed valuation of the new properties that we annex. So we'll have a couple of years where we have that bucket that needs to be a little larger than normal to accommodate that those annexed properties.
Thank you. Any questions? Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2025-7?
So moved.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Blyle,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Fasella,
Yes.
Friedman,
Yes.
Nudo,
Yes.
Ula,
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Our next action item is to consider Resolution 2025-8, setting a public hearing for an annexation in northeast Urbana. Are there any questions or discussion?
Which of these maps in front of us is the one?
George, they're each labeled the same as the name on your agenda. So for instance, this one says determining amount of money necessary to be raised by the tax levy, and setting a public hearing for an annexation in northeast Urbana, and it says northeast Urbana at the top of the page.
Gotcha, I just wanted to be sure I was understanding that.
Are we actually using a bus for this?
We actually are. I believe it was your idea, Mr. Fasella.
Good idea.
Yeah, that's actually good to know because it wasn't clear in the documentation, and I was wondering if we were setting up chairs in the parking lot. So thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, there will be shelter. It will be heated in a bus.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2025-8?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Blyle,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Fasella,
Yes.
Friedman,
Yes,
Nudo,
Yes.
Ula,
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Our next action item is to consider Resolution 2025-9, setting a public hearing for an annexation in North Airport Road area in Urbana.
And just to be clear, this is at the same time and date as the other one? Yeah. Cool.
Yes, we are able to combine those two together, but the third one that you have before you will be at a separate location and time.
Is there a reason why these are separate resolutions then?
Yeah, the resolutions generally reflect a bundling of parcels that are contiguous with one another, and so these are two areas that are not contiguous, and so that requires two separate actions.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2025-9?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Blile,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Fasella,
Aye.
Friedman,
Braden, yes.
Nudo,
Yes.
Ula. Barnes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Our next action item is to consider Resolution 2025-10, setting a public hearing for an annexation in East Urbana. Any questions? Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2025-10?
So moved. All right, I'll second it. He can move it.
It's been moved and seconded. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Blile,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Fasella,
Yes.
Friedman,
Yes.
Nudo,
Yes.
Ula.
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, our next action item is to consider approval of the Enterprise Resource Planning, ERP, software contract.
Good afternoon. So like your memo says, we are requesting approval for the managing director to enter into a contract with Crow LLP for ERP software and implementation services. The contract would be for $1,571,945, and that includes 5 years of software services as well as 1 year of implementation services. So that breaks down to about $100,000 a year for the software and then about $1 million for the implementation itself. We are also asking separately for the option to amend the contract for an amount not to exceed $156,000 for up to 3 optional 2-month extensions. So in total, that's, I wrote it down somewhere. It's like 1.7 million. $1,727,945 in total. So we talked about this, but not for a while. To give a little background, MTD's current ERP system, which is Avail/FleetNet, began implementation, the memo says 1995. It could be as far back as 1990. I couldn't actually nail down the exact year. But despite updates, it does lack a lot of modern capabilities. So we discussed the need to replace this system in January 2024 when the board authorized us to enter into a contract with the Government Finance Officers Association. They have been helping us navigate this procurement that's pretty complicated. And if you recall, in January 2024, when you approved that GFOA contract, it was another feature of that contract was that we were actually joining with 3 other Illinois transit agencies to do this procurement collectively. So the idea, we all have currently Avail FleetNet, and all 4 agencies are looking to replace it. And so we were trying to collaborate with them in order to make the process, more cost-effective for all 4 of us, and then potentially land on the same solution for all 4 agencies. So as you'll see in the memo, that's not what happened. MTD is the only agency that is opting to go with the Crow software, and the other 3 agencies are opting to go with Tyler, software from Tyler. So in addition, I'll just note that these expenses going forward for this year, but also going forward, are eligible for downstate operating assistance funding, which covers 65% of qualifying expenses. And I will also note that we are currently in contract negotiations with Crow right now. So the cost won't change, but we are negotiating a final contract and contract terms. We do have the assistance of Meyer Capel, our legal counsel, with that process, but it's not included in the packet because it's not final yet. It's also over 150 pages of software licensing terms, a master services agreement, and a scope of work. So it's an extensive amount of paperwork. So we didn't include it, but when it is final, we can certainly, or at any stage, I think probably, we can certainly make it available to board members if anyone wants to review the fine print. And with that, I think I'll take any questions you have about this. Yes, George.
For the sake of my simple mind, could you tell me in simplest possible language what we're buying?
Yes, that's a great question. So our current FleetNet ERP software covers things like accounts payable, fixed assets, requisitions. There's a customer service component, accounts receivable. It also manages the general ledger, allows us to create purchase orders. There's some asset management capabilities and inventory control. So these are all features that this new ERP would also be covering. The new system also has some additional features that help us manage grants and project management. They have some project management capabilities as well as some budgeting and forecasting capabilities that our current system doesn't have. So it's a pretty foundational system that touches a lot of different operational aspects of MTD.
And
Does
we
that answer
don't
your question?
currently have software to do these things?
We do, but our current software is quite outdated. That's the one that we implemented in the 90s, and it just hasn't kept up with modern software capabilities.
So did we go through like a bidding process?
We did. So then the attached memo, what is referred to as the recommendation memo, goes into more details about the solicitation and evaluation process. So initially we did get, I want to say 9 different proposals from different software providers. And then we did a few different stages of evaluation. So we evaluated the proposals, then we did some additional, I can't remember what the different stages were called, but we kind of slowly filtered it down, and then we had 2 final candidates that did full day-long demos. But we had some additional demos before that at different stages. And so at each stage, we had evaluations and scoring and discussed as a group, all 4 agencies, how to proceed and move forward.
Yeah, the scoring and everything looks pretty thorough. Thank you.
With the 4 agencies kind of teaming together to look into this, was there any discount that we would be missing since we're not contracting with the same as the other 3 agencies?
That is a good question. They didn't clarify exactly if the pricing they provided in their proposal was influenced by the fact that 4 agencies were working together. But then when we did decide to separate at the end, both of the 2 finalists confirmed that the pricing wouldn't change. So we weren't penalized, in other words, for going out on our own.
Any further questions for Ashley? Okay, is there a motion to approve the Enterprise Resource Planning ERP software contract?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Blyle,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Vasella,
Yes.
Friedman,
Yes?
Nudo,
Yes.
Gula,
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, our final action item is to consider approval of the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA, for downtown Urbana recordation services.
Okay, so for this item, we're asking for approval to amend our existing contract with HDR for NEPA services to include mitigation recordation services for $30,632. So for those of you that weren't here, in April 2024, we presented to the board the original HDR contract for NEPA services, and this is for the downtown Urbana property where the current Civic Center is located. And we've been in the NEPA process since then, since April 2024. It's not completed yet, and what we're asking today is to amend the contract to include some mitigation services. So in just kind of as a refresher, MTD is proposing to construct a new centrally located transit transfer facility up to 3 levels high at the location that will provide opportunities for long-term leases and/or public sector condominiumization by local government stakeholders. And the intention is also to encourage redevelopment and investment on the adjacent parcels. This project actually originated from 2018 discussions with the city, county, and other government stakeholders about, or within a larger conversation about downtown redevelopment. So, like I said, we've been in this process for quite a while. We didn't anticipate it would last this long, but it was determined by the State Historic Preservation Office that the site qualified for, or that the site is eligible for the National Register of Historic Places, and so it warranted additional measures to mitigate adverse effects. So as a result, some additional steps were carried out, and we are here with the determination that recordation would be sufficient to mitigate the impact of demoing that building, and that's what this contract covers. It involves some high-resolution photography, submitting the original blueprints, and some other documentation about the site, so that we can submit that to the State Historic Record and the County Historic Society at the Urbana Free Library, or Historic Archive. So you see the alternatives. You also see in the community input section that there was a consulting parties group that considered the mitigation impacts and that collectively agreed that these recordation activities would be sufficient to mitigate the impacts of demolition. So in the end, the estimate for these services is, like I mentioned, $30,632, and so that's what we're asking for approval for today.
Any questions? Phil?
It's my understanding this is basically required under NEPA, which is federal law.
Correct.
So we're essentially tearing down a building that's full of mold that is the Urbana Civic Center, and they want us to take fancy photographs, laser measurements, and submit all of this stuff to a record that the state is going to put somewhere that probably nobody will ever look at again. And I mean, we have to do it because there's no choice, but I think it's really good for us to put on the record that, you know, this is why it costs so obscenely much for government bodies to do anything, because not only do we have to do NEPA, which it's not like we're building a coal power plant, we're building a bus station downtown where there's already bus stations. You know, there's no pristine fields with ancient home sites or Native American burial grounds. It's the site of the Urbana Civic Center, which is a nice building, and we could have taken some more pictures of it and stuck them over at the Urbana Free Library, but instead we're going to spend $30,000. So, you know, and I mean, I get it. There's an engineering lobby that this is probably keeping somebody who got a degree in history in a job, but it does kind of make me sick to vote yes on this, but I think we have to.
Other comments or questions?
Little historical footnote. If I'm not mistaken, and I'm not absolutely certain of this, I believe that was the site of the Carborn for the Kankakee and Urbana Railroad Company, which was an electric interurban that ran from between those cities. Well, it never got to Kankakee. Ran from Paxton to Urbana. Ended in 1926.
If I can make a quick comment, Phil, everything that you just said is completely accurate. So I just want to make a comment that probably won't make you feel any better, but maybe will make some other board members feel a little better. And that is, it could have been worse. We could have gotten a designation that didn't allow us to tear down the building and would have created a situation where the building would have had to have been preserved, and that would have cost an order of magnitude more money, and then would have essentially prevented us from being able to use that property for the intended purpose. And so in some respects, getting away with just a $30,000-ish recordation cost Yes, that makes the project that much more expensive for us, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a pretty small amount of money, and we got off easy.
One quick query. So what was the total cost of original contract with HDR?
Oh, good question. That original cost was $133,404. I will note, despite the extra steps we had to take, HDR has stayed within that budget, which is helpful, but then that plus the $30,000 is a total of $164,36.
I think it's also worth noting that the site, a lot is happening in that block, especially since 2018. And if you want to reflect on the opportunity that we have to continue the progress of economic development in Urbana. So I think this is a small price to pay, unfortunately, as we note, not really a choice. But I look forward to this project moving forward. So that's really the point of my comment is what is the timeline at this point for the project to essentially to get this work done and then to move forward?
Great question. And yes, several businesses have come back or reoccupied spaces in the area in the meantime, which is fantastic. So the NEPA process isn't complete yet, although we have gotten approval to move ahead with these mitigation services to take place concurrently with the end of the process. Our timeline to end the process at this moment is March 2026 because there are several periods of review and approval from different federal bodies that need to happen before it's all said and done. So March 2026, hopefully this process will be completed. Once the recordation services are also completed, then we could move forward with talks with the city about purchasing the property and then demolition or reconstruction or however it is we decide to move forward. That said, we don't have a full budget set aside for the construction of this process yet, or of this project yet, so we would need to apply for some grant funds in the meantime. Grant opportunities opening up in the next 6 months, so we're hoping that we can go ahead and start submitting applications for this project. But no official timeline for construction.
Yeah. Can any of that work happen in parallel to accelerate the process?
The grant application process probably not at the federal level because we aren't able to move forward until the NEPA process is complete, but at the state level, in theory, we could start requesting funds.
And just to add into that, Laura, we have applied for some capital grants to fund this project and weren't selected for them. So we will continue to do that. Ashley kind of has that application in the can and ready to go when these other programs that she mentioned, when their notice of funding opportunity opens up. So we're in the process of trying to put money in place on that. You might recall, you might not too, and that would be totally fair, but this project was actually listed in the capital budget, in MTD's capital budget that we brought to you in June. So we're kind of primed and ready to go as soon as NEPA is done, as soon as we've done the property acquisition, and as soon as we get the capital funds in place to actually build the building. And I guess where I want to land the plane is that if you wanted us to start with actual design work on the facility, architectural and engineering work on that, we could do that, but we would pay for that out of local funds. And we could do that, but we just would have to draw that out of our capital reserve fund.
I think it's worth a discussion or thought into it, understanding all these things that are out of our control and to make sure that we can take care of what's actually in our control.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do some preparatory work for that discussion, and I probably won't bring it to the December board meeting. Reminder, we don't have a meeting in November, but we will then in early December. But maybe in January or February, we can have that conversation and start that process. But I'll put some data together so that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, in defense of this action, I think it's necessary, and it's a fail-safe, and it's not only with governmental bodies that have to face this, private developers and private owners have to go before the state and the NPA and the National Park Service when they want to make a decision of not following historic rules and regulations and demo a building. And it's a good thing. I just go back to the time that we were deciding to put money into the central school building instead of building out on Olympian. And the decision had to be made as to whether to demolish Burnham for the greater good of doing Central. So you had two historic buildings that were in question, and it's a good thing. So I think the money's well spent, and I think greater good, like Laura's bringing up, is a good thing that we're doing. So the money's a necessary evil.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, is there a motion to approve the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA, for downtown Urbana recordation services?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Blile,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Fasella,
Aye.
Friedman,
Yes.
Nudo,
Yes?
Ula, Barnes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next regular Board of Trustees meeting will be on Wednesday, December 10th, 2025 at 3 p.m. here at the Illinois Terminal 45 East University in Champaign. Do I hear a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The meeting's adjourned. Thank you all for coming.